You don't have to check your calendars. Yes, I literally just made one of these videos a month ago. It's only been a month. However, there's been some recent discussion over a certain movie that I really want to talk about. And also, I came up with so many more ideas after that video that I knew I had to do a part 3. So we're going to be doing part 3 of movies I will never watch. Make sure you go watch the other parts. I've done 2 other videos just like this. So if you think I'm missing some heavy hitters, some big ones, some obvious ones, then they're probably in those other parts. So make sure you check those out. There are some curveballs in this video, and they're not all for the same reasons that I refuse to watch the other movies that I've already talked about. There's some new reasons I will not be watching these things in today's video. But you know, I love any chance I get to talk about having boundaries, and especially in the horror genre, I think it is 100% okay to not watch things. We can't anyway. We can't spend our entire lives watching every single thing on Earth. So why waste your time on things that you know you're not the target audience for and you just don't want to see? So whenever I can help normalize having your own boundaries, I love to do so. Speaking of boundaries, you know when you get like very specifically targeted ads towards you, or you're signed up for email mailing lists? I keep getting signed up for really random mailing lists, or like you get scam/spam phone calls. I am bombarded by those on a weekly basis. Let's talk about today's sponsor, Incogni, which I'm very grateful that they reached out and wanted to work with me, because this is something that I personally am very interested in. Like I said, I am a victim of email newsletters and things that I don't want, and of course spam phone calls or scammers, and just my general concerns over privacy online, because nothing is private these days. Like literally all of your information's online, and that's just the way it is. Now, to help with that, Incogni reduces the amount of collected data that is about you online to help make you less of a target for scammers and spammers. So data brokers are actually the ones that collect all of this personal information from you, from the online history, like your online activity, your social security number, your location history, all of which is available for purchase. Like people can buy this information, and companies often do so in order to make very specific targeted ads. And in order to go in and request all of this information be removed about you online, it would take you years to do this manually. So that's where Incogni helps you, because they go in, it's an automated process, and they request all the data from all the data brokers to remove all of your personal information. Now, I've been using Incogni for a couple of weeks now, and I say I've been using, but I just sit back and relax and let them do the work. But I've already been removed from 31 data brokers' information, like database. I've already been removed, and then there's over 100 requests still in progress. Your information is just so valuable to so many companies, and it just gives me more peace of mind to know that my information isn't being sold like that. And with a yearly subscription of Incogni, they will continue to request that your information not be sold from these data brokers, because sometimes they can get a hold of your information again. So the first 100 of my viewers to go to the link down below and use my code POSSESSED will get 60% off of Incogni, and there's a 30-day guarantee, so it's risk-free to try, and I highly recommend it. It's been really nice having that just run in the background. Okay, first disclaimer before we get into all the movies that I refuse to watch. I do not judge you or shame you for watching these movies at all, especially the ones in this video. They're not the deep cuts. They're not, you know, the ones that are way below the surface on the iceberg. These are not that uncommon for people to watch. They're just not ones that I want to personally watch. So keep that in mind. There's been a lot of judgment and a lot of shaming and a lot of discussion over this first movie specifically. And the first 3 movies I talk about in this video are all kind of listed for similar reasons, and you'll see why in a second. So the first movie is not even one that's been released. We have just gotten the teaser for. People are already trying to boycott it, refusing to watch it. And there's been a lot of arguments over this teaser. Like, it has caused a lot of drama, which I think is intentional. It's the marketing. Terrifier 3. So in the teaser for Terrifier 3, we see an implication, possibly, that Art the Clown goes after a child and kills a child, okay? And this is why it's sparked some debate amongst horror fans, because one, there's the question, we don't know for a fact he's going to go after a child, right? We just see that he's dressed up as Santa, he's next to the tree, and the child comes down. So there's that debate of whether or not it actually happens, because we don't even know. We don't even know if that happens yet. The reason why it's on this list and why I wanted to talk about it is because of the discourse on it, because people are saying, like, if you want to watch that, you're sick. I don't believe that children should be off limits in horror. There are so many movies. Think of It, the most recent It, where Georgie gets his arm ripped off. Like, that is disturbing. And no one said anything about that. The difference is, however, I am on some people's side saying they don't want to watch a child be murdered by Art the Clown, specifically because Art the Clown is not the same as famous slashers from before where children are killed or teenagers are killed, okay? Art the Clown uses bleach and salt and mutilation. These are things that I don't want to see performed on a child. I personally don't think that they will go that far. If they do, I think that would be a little bit intense and a bad choice on their part. Some people are rooting for that and want that to happen. But the age in which this child is, she was probably 3 or 4 years old, 5 years old, maybe. This is coming from someone who has a child. So yeah, I don't want to see him specifically kill a child. I don't mind children, you know, being killed in horror movies. That's been a thing for a long time. I'm not against it. And before I had a child, I was actually more for it, if you can be for that, without being a weirdo. But, you know, I like when they push the envelope and they push the limits. I like movies where they're not off limits. Anyway, my theory is that Art the Clown actually kills her parents and that she comes down to like find them, or like their body parts are in the bags of the presents or whatever. Some people theorize that he's going to make like a human Christmas tree, like made out of a human or multiple humans. I could see that happening because we know it's Christmas themed. So yeah, Terrifier 3, I might refuse to watch. If it is as graphic as some people are making it out to be that it could happen, because again, we don't know. I'm gonna wait for it to come out and I will read, does the dog die, or the parental guidance on IMDb. I reference those a lot. If it's as graphic as some people are theorizing, I will not be watching it, but you guys have fun with it. It's not for me if a child is brutally mutilated and things. You know, that's just, I don't want to see that. Speaking of which, a little bit more tame than what I just said, When Evil Lurks. This one is, again, going to be controversial because so many people want me to talk about this, and a lot of people are telling me to watch it, and I don't know that I want to. Now, When Evil Lurks is a brand new Spanish movie that was released to Shudder on October 6th. It's a really recent release, and everyone is talking about it. Everyone loves it, is raving about it, that it's really disturbing, but in a really good way. Like, it's a beautiful story, I guess, or I don't know. I've seen people say that it's like really, really good. And I'd probably like it. I looked up why it's disturbing, and I don't know if I can do it. Again, sometimes when you read a description of something, it can almost be worse than what is actually taking place. So I don't know to what extent or how graphic, this movie gets in regards to this. But just by reading the descriptions and the reasons why it's considered disturbing, it's not something I want to watch, for the same reason that I would not watch Terrifier 3 if he kills a child. So I don't want to spoil anything about this movie. I am fine spoiling myself when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I only ever look up things if it has a reputation. So sometimes I am blindsided, right? When I'm watching a movie and I just don't know what's in it. But when a lot of people are talking about a really disturbing movie, I have to look up why. I have to see why it's disturbing. Because my threshold is lower than some people. Doesn't mean I can't be a horror fan. Okay. But When Evil Lurks is involved with children. Like, there are children involved, and it seems like it's kind of graphic. I probably wouldn't have had a problem with this movie specifically based on the descriptions I read before I had my baby, but now that I have had her, I do struggle a little bit more with child harm in movies. And that's just the way it goes, okay? So you can't argue with me on that, because unless you're a parent, things change. Things change up here. Some people, postpartum, can't watch horror at all. I'm really grateful that I was able to jump back into it, but it was intense there for a little bit, for a little while. Okay, the next one, also recent release, came out this year. Will not be watching American Horror Story Delicate. There's a few reasons for this, obviously. Number 1.
Can I see the screen?
You feed on your body.
Number 2, it's American Horror Story. I think that's enough said. I'm personally done with American Horror Story. That goes for American Horror Stories as well. I've made a boundary with myself that I will not be watching any more American Horror Story seasons, period. Like, there's no need for me to, unless the theme is like really for me. It's not gonna happen. And this theme, not a fan. I have no interest at all in this. Speaking of no interest, this next one, I have talked about it in the past and why I won't be watching it, or probably won't. Titane from 2021. Everyone was talking about this one as well when it came out. And just like with the other, you know, with When Evil Lurks, I look up why, and I don't want to. I don't care that it's probably not as graphic as, you know, what I am thinking in my head. I've been told it's not that graphic. I've been told it's not that bad, actually. And it's a really good story, and I would probably love it. You know, you might be right. But I don't want to. I don't want to watch it. At this point, I don't even know if I would like the movie in general. There's so many other things I'd rather watch than Titane. Next, we have The Nightingale by Jennifer Kent. This came out in 2018. Again, one of those that everyone's like, oh my god, it's so disturbing. So I looked up why. I didn't actually read the description or like an in-depth reason why, but I do know that there is SA in it, I believe. And this is a revenge tale, and first and foremost, that's not my favorite story. I don't love the revenge cliche. That's just not a subgenre that I am really entertained by. And then I've heard that the scene of violence in the beginning is very hard to watch and is very disturbing. That doesn't sound like a great time to me. This movie just sounds like a really heavy watch, and there's a time and a place and a mood for that. And sometimes I like doing that, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't want to. I just don't want to. I like Jennifer Kent in general. Obviously I like The Babadook, but maybe she's just one of those creators, one of those directors and writers that I just like very specific things from, kind of like Lars von Trier. Love Melancholia. Won't watch anything else he made. So maybe I'm just gonna have that same boundary with Jennifer Kent. And I enjoy The Babadook, but probably nothing else. I don't know. The next one, I can't believe I haven't included yet. This was on my list. I was actually going to watch this until I think one of you wrote a comment about it. And then I was like, absolutely not happening, because you guys know me. You know my boundaries almost as good as I do, okay? So thank you. You know what I can and can't watch or refuse to watch. I can watch things. I just don't want to. The Sadness. Everyone was talking about it, but everyone was talking about it in like, oh my god, it's so good. And then I read everything about it, and I'm like, this is the movie you guys are saying is really good? Because there's a lot of scenes. There's a lot of scenes. Just go look at the IMDb parental guide. I mean, here's one. And this is probably the least offensive way to put it. There are just zombie sex scenes, orgy scenes, SA, zombie, nope. No. Speaking of Lars von Trier, let's talk about The House That Jack Built. This is one that I actually thought I would watch, and then the more I think about it, I don't want to. I don't think I will. Now, reading about it, this is one situation where it doesn't sound as bad maybe as it actually is. Just reading the Wikipedia plot summary, okay? There are certain scenes that seem like they would be really brutal to watch, which is why I don't want to watch them, but it's about a serial killer who's killed a bunch of people. It sounds like he targets women sometimes, and like a lot of the on-screen deaths are actually women. And I don't want to spoil anything and like go more in detail about why I won't be watching The House That Jack Built, but it's just one of those that I don't really have an interest in anymore. You know, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. It's Lars von Trier, and that alone, you know, unless it's about a planet heading towards Earth, I want nothing to do with it, or nothing to do with him, rather. I know that's harsh, but you know, he does space horror really well. Do that again. Do Melancholia again with like no weird sexual things and no grisly murders, you know, like make it psychological. I think the next one's going to be pretty self-explanatory why I will not be watching this one. This one again, this is one that went viral on TikTok, and you know you got to be wary about the ones that go viral on TikTok but that is Soft and Quiet. This came out last year and again was the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about it because it is so disturbing. I watched a TikTok spoiling it, like talking about the whole plot, because I decided I probably will not be watching it. And then I read the parents' guide on IMDb and I can't, oh my gosh. It's just intense. There's a lot of racial violence and, you know, horrible racist language. That alone is like really disturbing. There's SA in it. I don't want to go too in depth in case you do want to watch it and you want to be spoiled, but it's about a group of racist women who target 2 women. I just think it'd be such a difficult watch, and I read about it and I think I'm good on that. You let me know if you've seen it, if it is that disturbing. I do know that most of the things are off screen, so it's not like super graphic in your face as far as I know. I have not seen it, but still just the concept, I feel like this movie would feel really realistic, and that would just add to how disturbing it is. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about has absolutely nothing to do with disturbing nature at all. This is just a group of movies that I have determined personally that I will never be watching. And again, no judgment if you watch these, okay? None at all. This is just not for me. They're not for me. Any parody horror movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. There was a Grinch horror movie, I think, that was released. Anything like that. Probably the shark ones, you know? Anything that's like meant to be a parody of something else and then they make it a horror movie is just... it's too goofy, and I'm not really into that kind of level of goofy or, you know, that kind of thing. Horror comedies alone are not really a genre that I love. There's like a handful, a select few that I do enjoy, but in general, I really don't like that subgenre. Another subgenre that I'm really not a huge fan of is the horror comedies, but there's like a very specific style to them. So Happy Death Day. I think Totally Killer would probably fall under that. What was that one that came out where she was like a serial killer? She like it's basically the hot chick, but for a serial killer. I forgot what that one's called. There's just the really over the top comedy bits mixed with gore. Oh, Cocaine Bear, things like that. I don't like those movies. I've never really had a good time watching those kind of movies. But I love Cabin in the Woods. So I don't know, maybe I'm a hypocrite. I like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I don't know. But the modern versions of comedy horrors like that, I just not really into. But specifically also the parody horror movies are just not my thing. So there you have part 3 of horror movies I refuse to watch. I just have boundaries, okay? I have my limits for horror, so there you go. And I know a lot of you actually use these videos to find recommendations for more disturbing horror content, so you're welcome for even more recommendations if you want to get into that, because, you know, there is an audience for these, and I don't mind that these exist. I'm just saying that I'm personally not going to watch them. But you do you know, you can watch whatever you want. Like, there's a reason why these are made. Anyway, I'm just rambling on at this point. You tell me your thoughts. I get plenty of ideas for more movies I refuse to watch when you guys leave comments about the ones that you refuse to watch, hence why I made this one, because a lot of you commented these and I was like, thank you. I also will not be watching that. So please leave some more movies or shows or whatever that you won't be watching, you have no interest in for one reason or another. Leave a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.